Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We'll talk Browns and NFL football. We'll have some NFL news. We'll talk Cavs. We'll talk Buckeyes. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. What year was Mark Price drafted in? So it's a catch trivia question today, and I'll have the answer to that question later in the broadcast. After an embarrassing and humiliating 31-3 loss on Monday Night Football on Monday, the Browns will look to bounce back as they get ready to take on the Seattle Seahawks at home at First Energy Stadium. Head coach Freddie Kitchens says, "We know what we need to do. We need to do our jobs better, and we have a really good and better game plan for their Week 6 matchup against the Seahawks." The biggest questions for the Browns need to answer it versus the Seahawks. Will the Browns have a better game plan, and they need to put their focus on Russell Wilson and company. And the Browns need to put the last week's loss to the 49ers behind them, because if they don't, it'll be just as ugly as it was last week, because they don't want things to get ugly as they did against the 49ers this past Monday night. Now, the Seahawks have an extra 3 days of practice this week to prepare for the matchup against our Browns at First Energy Stadium. And they are traveling from East Coast to West Coast. They always dread doing that. And the advantage for the Browns is it's on their home turf. It's a home game. Now, the Browns are looking to put their best foot forward against the Seahawks. And the other question is, will the Browns establish their true identity on offense? Now, they really need to, and the Browns failed to build on the momentum they created during the Ravens game last week in Week 4, and on Monday night they failed on the momentum they created when they played the Ravens and beat them last week on Week 4 the previous week, and also they failed with the momentum on the Monday night game versus the 49ers. The Browns opened the game with a trick play. The rest of the game, the only one fooled were themselves. Now the Browns need to really find and build the momentum and keep it going for the entire game and never let up. And they really need to establish their true identity on offense. And I just really feel that they need to come out and strike early against the Seahawks, and they need to sack Russell Wilson as often as possible. And Baker Mayfield needs to not get sacked at all, and there has to be no turnovers or penalties whatsoever. And you've got to not give these guys so much room to run. So, boys, I'm going to say this right now. You better be ready to play on Sunday and be fired up and come out and beat the Seahawks and play with efficiency and discipline and dominance. Freddie Kitchens and his staff need to get more creative with their play calling, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. And they should also consider an up-tempo approach to get their defenses and offenses on their heels. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And kickoff is at 1 p.m. on Fox. And other NFL news, after the Redskins fired head coach Jerry Gruden yesterday, and it's in its very early process, but one big name has come up, and rumor has it, the Washington Redskins could be looking to try to get, and I say this with emphasis, Mike Tomlin to be their new head coach. Now, Tomlin is currently the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach and has been there since 2007. And I think that's the best place for him. But his record is 126, 70, and 1. All-time wins and losses and ties with as coaching wins and ties. 8 and 7 in the playoffs with 1 Super Bowl win. Now, media has addressed that they feel that Pittsburgh is the best place for Tomlin, but a lot of people would like to see Tomlin leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so it's early right now, but there's also a couple of other names in consideration. Buccaneers defensive coordinator Todd Bowles and Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. So I'll keep you posted on who they think the Redskins will hire for their new head coach. The Cavs will play their second preseason game on Friday after winning 120-89 over Orlando on Monday, as they will take on the Detroit Pistons at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Now, Kevin Love says he wants to stay in Cleveland and he wants to lead the Cavs through the rebuilding process, and he is committed to doing that. Love says, I am just going to just continue to be me and give it my all, and I feel I can get a lot better, especially with head coach John Beilein. And tip-off for the Cavs and Pistons game is Friday at 7 p.m. on Fox Sports Ohio. Now, we will get to the Buckeyes in just a moment, but first, it is time now to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. And it's a Cavs trivia question. What year was Mark Price drafted? And if you said 1986, you are correct. Mark Price was the 25th pick in the second round for the Cavs. He played for the Cavs and in the NBA from 1986 to 1998. Price went to Georgia Tech, and when his career was over, he coached high school basketball. I'll have another trivia question on my next podcast, which will be tomorrow night on my Scott Sports 101 Thursday Night Football pregame show. So stay tuned for that. The 6-0 undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes are on their bye week this week. But in 1 week, on Friday, October 18th, the Buckeyes will take on the Northwestern Wildcats at Ryan Phillips Stadium in Evanston, Illinois. And head coach Ryan Day says he liked the Buckeyes' performance in last week's 34-10 victory over Michigan State, and the Buckeyes are really going to practice hard during their bye week, and they are really going to give the Wildcats a run for the money the following week on Friday, October 18th. And I feel they will get the win in that. And tip-off for the Buckeyes-Wildcats game on Friday, October 18th is at 8:30 on FS1. And I mentioned my Scott Sports Thursday Night Football pregame show. It's a great matchup for tomorrow night. And it is going to be the New York Giants taking on the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium in New England. And I will have my Thursday night pick. I'll break it down, and I'll tell you what I feel that both the Giants and Patriots need to do. And then once the game is concluded, I will have my post-game show, the Thursday Night Football post-game show. So tune in for that. Now, getting back to this week's Browns game, I feel that the Browns really need to strike on the Seattle Seahawks early. And they need to be fired up, and they need to not let up. They've got to really keep scoring, and they've got to get a good-sized lead. And they need to win this game this week against the Seahawks. And I feel Baltimore needs to lose the next two, because I want us to be 3-3 this week and then beat the Patriots after our bye week in week number 8 and go to 4-3. And I want Baltimore to lose the next 4 games, because There's a Ravens podcaster on YouTube, Joe Nubo, who feels that the Browns belong in second place. And he feels the Browns are not going to beat the Seahawks, but I feel they are. So, Joe Nubo, your Ravens are going to lose these next 2 games, and I think the Browns are going to win these next 2 games. But then I could be wrong. You never know. So, we'll see what happens this Sunday when the Browns take on the Seahawks at 1 p.m. on Fox. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for this edition of Scott Sports 101. Turning them off for my Scott Sports 101 Thursday Night Football pregame show before the Giants and Patriots square off at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough on NFL Network. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day and every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.